I'm honored to have been the youngest female presidential appointee in history. I started at 19 years old answering phones in the White House press office during the Clinton administration. This was just the day after inauguration, and I was a student at the American University. I thought it was a great way to pass time and use a couple of days during the week, maybe towards my communications major. But then I was hired on when I was 20 years old as a staff assistant, also in the press office, where I assisted all the different press secretaries, the directors of radio and television and specialty press. And soon enough, about 8 months later, I was the Midwest press secretary, both proactively and reactively delivering the president's message verbally to the newspapers and television affiliates in the Midwestern United States. If the president was traveling there for an event, I traveled ahead by 5 or 6 days to set up the interviews, gin up the press with the right message, and really choose press poolers, a representation of the media, to be there at all the off-the-record movements, as we like to call them, the OTRs. Then in 95, I moved within the press office from the Midwest press secretary position to become the White House director of television. There I was visually shaping that message through the interviews the president did on camera with television anchors on the news and journalists, foreign and domestic, as well as putting the different events live on satellites so that local affiliates throughout the United States and the world could take that down free of charge and make their own journalistic packages on it and so forth, and really bolster that message. Then in 97, I moved from the West Wing to the East Wing, where I became the White House Director of Events. Now, that was a culmination of everything that I had done, and along with just an incredible set of team members, not only in the White House Social Office, but throughout the White House as a whole. All these positions were part of the EOP, the Executive Office of the President. Now, that's all presidential appointees. You change after every opposing administration, I guess you could say. And it really is just always a collective effort. Much like the nonprofit sector, much like a startup, you could really think about it in those terms, where everybody's together surrounded for a cause, of passion, the administration's priorities, and so forth. And it was just an incredible honor and a great way to, on the world stage then, which wasn't as accessible as it is now. You know, I served from 93 to 01 and really make an impact as one of many within that White House. Of course, nowadays, everyone's event is on the world stage. Everybody's life, for that matter, is on the world stage, thanks to technology, for better or worse. But it was an incredible 8-year ride at the White House, after which, got to tell you, I had to figure out what I was going to do next. As Laura Schwartz, you know, not as Laura Schwartz with a fancy business card or flying on the president's plane and things like that, but just me. And because I started so young, I have to say that was a real challenge for me to figure out who I was and why I was there, you know, how I can make an impact, again, just as me. And then, ironically, I was asked to give my first paid speaking engagement by the Trump Organization. And Donald Trump, you know, back in those days was the casino mogul, and he loved making bits appearances on television and movies. This was before The Apprentice. And of course, owned the Miss USA pageant. And I was asked to come speak to the Miss USA pre-pageant convention. And they asked me to come talk about state dinners and how pretty they were to the contestants, and as well as a bunch of great business women, about 500 of them. And I said, well, can I mix some substance in with the fluff? You know, state dinners are gorgeous. And that's part of them. It's part of their mystique. It's part of the protocol. It's part of the excitement. But they're substantive. And that leads me really to, I think, an objective or a lesson for all event planners. I believe a powerful host or event planner, manager, frame it however you'd like, is one that can create an event that's not only enjoyable, but productive as well. You know, set in a scene of where your guests can really excel and succeed no matter what the objective of that event, whether it's a dinner or a conference or a merger, whatever it might be. And then as a host, as a guest, to get more out of any event than just the free food and drink. and how we can do that in different ways. And so it was a wonderful opportunity for me to sort of explore that. To be honest, I didn't really have anything written for that conference, my first gig, until around midnight. I woke up and I started writing things down on a CS magazine, Chicago Social, next to me. And then that became the basis for my book, Eat, Drink, and Succeed, which is all about networking and partnership in a very positive, productive, powerful way, not in a manipulative, negative way. Oftentimes people look at networking as what I can get from you instead of what I can do for you. I learned about networking from my parents, from President Clinton, from others that I've been around, where it's really about building bridges for others. And so that became the basis of Eat, Drink, and Succeed.